Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike the intern, Ned Reynolds in the studio on a Wednesday morning. So any news out of the Kansas City Chiefs campus, I would figure they would have made a statement by now. But considering everything I've heard and read about the recall, I think he gone.
They can't really have any justification for domestic violence. The NFL takes an extremely dim view of that, probably at this juncture even more than they do drugs. But nonetheless, here's a situation with Justin Ross about whom you're talking. He was arrested. The charges were reduced to some extent. Initially, it was reported $25,000 or more in criminal damage. That's a felony. Well, they reduced that now to under $2,000 in damage. Okay, that is a misdemeanor. Maybe there was some negotiating done, who knows, but the amount of damage was reduced. He still was on bail for $2,500, and I'm sure he's out by now. But the domestic violence, although he has pleaded not guilty, and everybody gets his day in court, he will have his day in court, but in that meantime, I have to think that Ross will not be allowed to play. He only played in, 3 games, I think, for the Chiefs, something like that, had some catches somewhere along the line, was not an instrumental force in their receiving corps, but was a good player, and the Chiefs were giving him a chance. That's what bothers me. They gave him a chance. He was injured, as everybody knows, at Clemson, star player at Clemson, but the Chiefs said, why not test him and see if he can make it? Given a chance like that, and then, oh boy, I just don't know, like you, Mike, don't know what goes through the minds of some of these individuals.
Well, I'll tell you, from what I've heard, it sounds like he was blocking this female from leaving, and my friend, that's called kidnapping in the state of Missouri, and that's a serious charge. Also, if he did anything domestic, I don't want him on my team personally. I know a lot of guys that were huge, lifelong Cleveland Brown fans that sold everything when they heard Deshaun was getting traded. So, I mean, don't mess around with that. 2, he's not balling out. If he was balling out, like Rashee Rice is balling out, they might try to make a case for him and get him some time, suspension, and be there for him. Stick with them, let him figure it out. But Ross has had, 30 yards so far this year in receiving, so I don't think they're going to make a case for him, unfortunately. And I just don't understand how you would go through all of that fusion, surgery, rehab, just to screw it all up fighting with the girl. Just doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. Chiefs on the road this weekend, Mile High, as we like to call it, Arrowhead West.
Arrowhead West will probably be rocking because the Chiefs are an 8.5-point favorite over the Denver Broncos, as well they should be. Now, Denver's coming in to this game off a win, a 1917 win over the Green Bay Packers, and that for them is encouraging, but I don't think the Packers are very good, and I think the Chiefs will prove that when they play the Packers a little bit later on in Green Bay. But in this one on Sunday, Kansas City, unless their mindset is already on their trip to Germany where they play the Miami Dolphins, and that'll be a heck of a football game. Unless their mindset is not directed, they should be able to handle the Broncos again. It was a good game when they played in Kansas City, not a high-scoring game, but that's the way the Chiefs play.
Well, I hope they're not looking past Sunday because that's a dangerous thing when you do that to a team who literally has nothing to lose at this point. We're 3 games ahead. We don't want to screw that up. We do have I think, a pretty good matchup coming up for the Thursday Night Football game. What do you think?
Tampa Bay at Buffalo, probably be on the cool side up in Buffalo, but probably not frigid yet. But the fact of the matter remains that both these teams are coming into the game off unexpected losses. Well, everybody, I think, saw the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots, and the Patriots, who were a big underdog, came back and won the game 29-25. Then Tampa Bay, my goodness, they lost to the Atlanta Falcons of all teams, and that was a big surprise. So one of those teams, has something to prove when they play Thursday night in Buffalo. It'll be the Bills and the Pats. Should be, as you mentioned, a pretty good game.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Pretty good games this week. Got one to talk about that happened last night. I'm kind of scared to ask you about, but we'll get to that next. So I was curious on how I was going to feel this morning when I woke up for 2 reasons. One, everyone in my damn fantasy league is after Kincaid from Buffalo, a tight end who, for some reason, Josh Allen wants to throw to every time, and someone actually paid 25 fab for him, so that's all you, Brian, if you want to spend a fourth of your fab on one tight end who might not ball out. Anyway, obviously I'm upset because I didn't get him. Number 2, how I was hoping the Phillies for you would pull it through, but man, Arizona was too much for them.
Arizona was too smart for them, is what it is.
Hell yeah.
They outsmarted the Phillies, and you could see it happening too. The Diamondbacks pitching staff in the first couple of games decided they were going to try to overpower Philly, and you don't do that. Philadelphia has sluggers who want that fastball right down the middle, and they'll blast it forever, and they did. Second game was, 10-0, somewhere around there. They hit something like 15 home runs in 3 playoff games, some remarkable number. Well, in the day off, Arizona changed their strategy, and you could see it in the first game. When the Diamondbacks won at 2-1, the pitchers changed their whole motif, and they pitched the ball more outside and off speed, and that had Philadelphia's sluggers really flummoxed. Here's a guy like Castellanos, who is a good player but not a great player, and he's one of these subconsciously who wants to hit a home run every time up. He was 0 for 23 and swinging at bad pitches. Schwarber did have some good hits, but they weren't the kind of hits that are going to win, and you saw that. And last night, I think, was a perfect example. Arizona wins 4-2 with 11 hits. Philadelphia had 5. And it's not like they were totally stymied. They're going after bad pitches. Well, the fact of the matter is, and you can make a correlation with football here too, Mike. When you take a team out of its comfort zone, that's what Kansas City does to their opponents. They take them with the disruption in the backfield. Well, Arizona took Philadelphia out of its comfort zone, wouldn't let them swing at good pitches, fooled them with changes of pace and with corner pitching, that nibbling at the corners, so to speak, and a lot of junk, and that really fooled Philadelphia and took them right out of their game plan, and as a result, you get an Arizona victory, and Arizona deserved to win. They were the better of the teams down the stretch. They weren't during the season, only won 84, but the fact is that in the stretch, they were able to outsmart Philadelphia, and the Phillies go home for the winter.
Well, it was in Philadelphia, right? Is Philadelphia still standing this morning? That's what I want to know. I guess it would. I guess that's the crazy thing about East Coast sports to me is they win, they burn it down. They lose, they just go home. Is that the way? Is that the way it goes? Go home and get drunk.
I did notice a photograph that I think Associated Press released yesterday in the pregame. The police officers were all out in Center City greasing the telephone poles so the fans couldn't climb up on them. That's the way they behave.
Yeah. And again, like I said, it's funny to me. They win, they burn it down. They lose, they just go home and drink. All right, so now we know who the teams in the World Series are going to be. When does that begin?
It begins on Friday night, and they'll play at Globe Life Field, which is an outstanding new stadium down in Arlington, Texas. Home of the Texas Rangers. It's Texas versus Arizona, not at all what Madison Avenue, New York, and Los Angeles and all the TV markets wanted to see. These are two, they're Southwest America teams, and they don't encompass a tremendous fan base. So the fact is the TV networks are crying in their whatever they cry into, and indeed it'll be probably a fragmented series. Texas is a better team than Arizona. There's no question about that, but Philadelphia was a better team. Can Arizona outsmart the Rangers? Well, we'll find out. Anyway, it all begins on Friday. It's set to end now on November 4th.
Last but not least, we do have a very special guest coming to Missouri State in early December, and you know all the deets about it. What is it?
Indeed, early December is Wednesday, December the 6th, and the get-together will be at the Old Glass House. That's right down on St. Louis Street, almost adjacent to the Shrine Mosque. And the event is a fundraiser for the baseball Bears at Missouri State University. They have it every year. It's called Step Up to the Plate. And we had Brendan Donovan down here last year, and he was really good. This year, I think everybody knows who this is. The Oz is coming down. Ozzie Smith, and he will be here for the little get-together on Wednesday, December 6th. Tickets are, and keep in mind, this is a fundraiser now. They're relatively expensive. They're through the Missouri State TICS and the foundation at Missouri State University and through Coach Keith Gutton with the Bears. But this will be a very big evening. Ozzie will be, I'll do the interviewing on stage, and then the audience will have a chance to ask questions as well. It's a dinner, and there's an auction involved, and so forth and so on. But it is Wednesday, December the 6th, and if you've never visited with Ozzie before, ever learned what he has to say and explored his mindset, this is a great chance to do so. The guy is a brilliant conversationalist.
And you would know because you've talked to most of them. So, Ned, thank you so much for your insight today. I'll see you tomorrow.